Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to New York State Bridge Authority, February 21st meeting. To my left, we'll go around the room introducing the commissioners. We have Commissioner Rod Dressel. We have Commissioner Vane Lashua. We have Deputy Executive Director, Sarah Sullivan. I knew I would get that. We have Commissioner Roger Higgins. We have Commissioner Joseph Romaglia. We have our attorney, Carl Whitback. And we have our Executive Director, Joe Ruggiero, and myself, who is acting chairman. With that, we have an agenda before us, and we'll follow the agenda. First one, adoption of the regular meeting minutes of January 31st, 2013.
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
New business. Administration. I see there's no new business. Engineering.
How are you?
Bill, how are you?
Very well, thanks. We have a nice short agenda for you today.
Short.
It's only 3 items. Our first project is the 2013 in-house capital improvement program. Following the independent inspections by Majestic Masters each year, we review their recommendations and our own and try to figure what we can accomplish with our own in-house forces before we go outside with contract maintenance. So this year we developed a list of projects. They're attached, and Majestic Masters, our independent consultant, reviews them for need and our in-house capability and cost. And they projected a savings of a little over $1 million if we perform these with our in-house crew versus going out by contract. So we'd like to ask you to authorize that budget. We do have this money in our capital program. This isn't new money. It's just a more itemized explanation of what we're proposing to do with it.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, in the packet itself, they're a little itemized on exactly what it pertains to, the dollar amount.
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next.
Next up is another assignment associated with our new bridge deck replacement project. We'd like to retain the designer for the 3-year construction project to work with us through the approving of fabrication details, shop drawings, demolition plans, under deck protection, what have you. So Mon & Whitney, as the designer, we feel is uniquely qualified, and we'd like to recommend them for this assignment. The cost was included in their original cost proposal. We just assigned the first half, the design. So this scope and cost is unchanged from their original submission back in January 2012, I think.
Did we approve it back in 12?
No, we only asked you for authorization to do the design step. We figured we'd wait until we award the job before we, commit to this task, I guess.
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Last one, jobs in progress.
Yep, there's not a lot of activity. Because of the ice in the river, we had to shut down our steel repair job on both the walkway and the Newburgh project. So everybody's anxious to come back in March. We've met with Kiska on both of their projects. So they expect to be here by the middle of March, working on the structures and putting up the containment safety. So hopefully the ice leaves in the next few weeks, because we don't have big enough safety boats to deal with it. There was 3 Coast Guard cutters came up noontime. I was just taking a look. It's been a pretty icy year this year for the river. So that tends to lead to more scour. So we'll be mindful of that this spring when we do our scour pedometer checks. There is a resolution with the jobs in progress.
You said the ice will contribute to greater scouring around the bridges?
That's what we've seen over the years.
What about the walkway that was susceptible to scouring? Is that going to be even a bigger problem?
We have more scour problems, at Kingston and Newburgh than the walkway, although there was some indication of scour. The biggest problem on the walkway is the condition of the timber caisson, so we're going to do some follow-up inspection next year based on the reports we just reviewed this winter. So, but everything that we patched is still there.
So you have a baseline to compare it to.
Yeah.
Will
Yes, sir.
that- Will that affect, I think we've already passed the improvements, but will that affect the asphalt fill, on the other bridges? The projects I saw were, there are several where you're doing expansion joint coverage. And
Rehabs, yeah.
Is that,
For the walkway itself, or for the
no, for the
rest of the bridges?
I forget which ones exactly.
Yeah, Kingston. No, we're gonna maintain. That's some of that expansion joint work is in our in-house, and the bigger joints are going to be done by contracts. But yeah, that's one of our.
It's all in-house. That's what I was wondering, how we're,
Well, we bought some very nice equipment recently. My boss has been good to us. So now that we have the contractor level equipment, we can do more and more pothole repair and expansion joint reconstruction. So
let's see.
it's tough for a contractor to work in these narrow windows of 4 or 5 hours of lane closure in the middle of the day, but it's not hard for us. We have other things we could do the rest of the day. So that's one of the reasons it's cheaper.
It's impressive.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Bill. Next,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Yes, you just did it.
Just did it.
All phase one.
John, me.
Joe, then Roger.
Joe and Roger, yeah.
I'm going to be very short this month myself.
They say hearings are first thing to go in. I'm going to pay for that.
You didn't say, but
Brian?
Okay, first up is the investment report. There were seven investments in the month of January. The debt service payment, 3 in the maintenance reserve fund as we continue to try to build up that balance. The construction fund's a reinvestment. The revenue fund is to pay for some expenses at the end of the year, and the debt service reserve fund was to true up the balance according to resolution. On the next page, as you can see, we continue to build the maintenance reserve fund. The construction fund still sits at $85.4 million. There was $2.4 million in the checking account and $769,000 in the revenue fund. On the next page, you'll notice that approximate yield percentage ticked up another 0.01%, and overall it was fairly stable.
Want to make a motion?
Come up.
Second? Second?
Okay, the only other item.
Discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, and the Department of Civil Service.
Yes, the only other item I have is Section 11, Civil Service Law allows the department to charge public authorities their fractional share of expenses associated with the administration of the Civil Service Department. Essentially, for this year, the balance drops to $25,803. This is a reduction due to both a cost reduction per person as well as the number of people we've had. It's a 19.7% reduction over prior year.
So moved.
Second? Second. Second. Discussion? Roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Human Resources, no report. Information Technology, no report. Operations, no report. Various reports to the board. Okay. Mr. Ruggiero here?
Traffic continues to slip. Unfortunately, it's not weather related, so we have to believe it's something economical. And now, rising cost of gas, we're going to see how that further begins to impact us. We have celebrated the 1-year anniversary of the new toll structure, which we're happy to report we were able to meet our projected revenue in year 1, and hopefully we'll be able to sustain those revenues for what we projected to be a 5-year life cycle of this toll structure. So hopefully we'll begin to see some improvement in traffic. That way we don't continue to see it slide where it's going to start to impact revenues. Any questions?
No questions?
We also have been doing our Easy Pass program. We've been selling Easy Pass in the lanes. We're doing it on all facilities now. And after a month of selling Easy Passes, we have surpassed the entire amount of sales we did last year. So it's going well. Newburgh Beacon is selling a lot of passes. Things are beginning to level off at the Rip Van Winkle and Kingston Rhinecliff Bridge in terms of the number of tags we're selling, but it's going very popular, and we're actually selling out.
How long does it take to do the transaction?
Brian, are we getting?
Seconds. Essentially, what we've done is we've utilized an existing function within the toll system. It was the old carpool passes. They literally sit there, press a button. Other than a couple, I'm assuming a few extra seconds, obviously, because a larger amount of money changes hands, but we try to streamline it as much as possible, and there is some variation depending on person.
But
I
it's,
don't have an average time.
takes no longer than transacting a toll.
No,
So, yeah.
Especially if a $20 bill is handed over.
Right.
Something like that.
It's very similar to when we used to sell the old carpool books.
Okay. So it's going well. Hopefully we'll see, we're going to start monitoring and seeing if we see any increase in market share of Easy Pass usage compared to what we are. At some point, we may want to consider, if we see sales slump, to do some sort of publicity campaign with maybe some advertising on radio or something, or local cable. But right now, just by the VMS signs and the signs we're putting up in the lanes, on the plazas, I mean, it seems to be selling itself.
Wow.
And as far as the expense report, I have no fiscal expenses to report this month. I don't go anywhere and do anything, having a fun.
Any questions?
No. And the next report, John will give you on the non-toll revenue opportunities.
Last month, you asked for an update on the authority's advertising program and our non-toll revenue programs. You have a somewhat lengthy summary with a lot of detail on the advertising aspect. Let me, I'll just hit a couple of the high points. Basically, in 2010, the authority needed to reinvest in its own fiber optic network. While implementing those changes, the opportunity to leverage additional investment to generate revenue, Joe brought to us, and it's worked out quite well. What we're doing now, I think, is most members are aware, is we are actually leasing dark fiber by the individual strand. We've made an investment in the infrastructure, consistent with the rest of our dark fiber program, and we've already gotten past the initial investment on the Mid-Hudson Bridge was about $180,000. We've executed a 10-year lease at $48,000 per year already, so that investment will pay itself back in a little more than 4 years, or a little less than 4 years, and after that it's all sheer profit because there's no additional investment required. We are in discussions, which I don't want to go into too many details on, but we are actually in discussions now with other people looking to lease fiber, which, since the infrastructure is already there, the cost to get to us is borne by the leasee. So everything that we lease from this point forward will be positive cash flow to the authority. Sir.
I noted in the construction report, there was the engineering report, there was a mention of the fiber damaged by short of an electrical cable.
Right.
That is our NYSBA fiber. I mean, we've kind of separated things. We have internal fiber, and that we use for our own communication purposes. The fiber that we're leasing is actually isolated from that and is in separate steel conduit. The fiber that had the issues with the shorts, and I'm, Bill and Greg can give you, specific details, but we're in the process of actually replacing that, at least in part now. So
It's an older
Right.
installation too.
yeah. And the fiber's laid in the same tray as the electrical system.
Yeah.
I guess that's what causes the issue.
The electrical system actually shorted and caused the fire, which put the fiber on fire.
Right. So as we do the upgrade and this is in particular at Newburgh, as we do the upgrade,
We're
Bill's-
separating everything.
right, and Bill's going to do an electrical system upgrade that will isolate that from the fiber network.
That happened mid-year last year, didn't it?
Yeah. It's the vibration, it's my understanding in layman's terms of, everything laying in the tray, so.
Yeah.
That's
we're on
not a problem, it's,
With our dark fiber, it's all protected, and our internal fiber will get protected.
just wanted the television audience to understand.
No, so it's actually, well, it's one of the upgrades, one of the benefits that, we're going to be doing as part of this package is taking things that have been put together over the years and making some sense out of them. So, we're currently looking at opportunities at Newburgh that would be substantial. We've had some interest in some of our other bridges, but we won't proceed there with anything else until we actually have viable options. In terms of the advertising program, we're now basically, 2 years ago in February, the board authorized entering into the advertising program. And in the 2 years that the program has been in place, we've netted out approximately $244,000 with another $20,000 to be booked into this quarter on past contracts. And we're doing well. I mean, most of the contracts are being renewed. I think, as everybody knows, the gate arms are exceptionally popular. Everybody wants to be on the gate arm because it moves. At the same time, we are looking for other opportunities where we can do this in a responsible manner. The program is mirrored off of the same type of program that's in about 15 other states. We put out an RFP 2 years ago on this and executed an agreement with Travelers Marketing. All costs for the program, the marketing costs, the installation costs, the production costs of the advertising are covered by them. NYSBA's role is basically to, we executed an agreement with them to do that. We receive a net proceed from that. We also maintain exclusive authority to approve the contents of the ads. So that's actually written into our contracts. So we prohibited things like alcohol ads and certain other types of ads that would not be compatible with a transportation infrastructure. The response has been very good. Most of the advertisers are local businesses in the Hudson Valley. Some of them have been written up in national publications in terms of what we're doing here. Other states and other areas have called and wanted to copy the program, including a couple others in New York State. I think at this point, since into 2 years, right now we're doing about, I think we can anticipate about $130,000 per year in net revenue, assuming our current portfolio is maintained. If we can add other advertisers in new venues, then it'll be that much more.
So just to be an understanding, even though we've only collected through the end of last year, $260,000.
That's what we've actually collected, yes.
The contracts that have been signed and the money ultimately, when if all were realized, will be ultimately around $360,000 to the authority. That's what I understand.
No.
The 350.
Yes. Yes. Some of them pay.
Some of the multi-year
quarterly,
contracts, which we haven't been paid
Some
yet.
are annual contracts.
So it has a value of net positive 360 for the authority at this point.
That's the value of all contracts, yes, given so far. That's correct. Again, paid through the end of last year was $264 approximately. Of about $20,000 of that, Brian tells me by the accounting rules has to be carried into this year, so we won't go there.
If we take money for an advertisement that's going to run for several months into the next year, we cannot recognize the revenue from that period of time until that time is completed.
What I know is the check didn't bounce. So,
Any questions?
very good.
Any presentations to the board? New business? Old business? Attorney-client privilege, we're going to go into that, but we're going to come out with no decision of any type, so we're not coming back into the meeting itself. So we will have a motion to adjourn. Second? Any other discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming.